buyers. Forget the credits, take the cash. It wants to give folks $8,000 to put towards a down payment. Now, didn't we already learn if you can't afford a house, you don't buy a house? Gary B., here we go again.
I tell you what, Brenda, it just gets goofier and goofier. I'm getting past irritation at this point to just insanity. First of all, yes, exactly right. It'd be like giving someone $8,000 in 2001 and saying, you know what, go buy one of those .com stocks. They got to come back. Look, this is, this easy credit,
I think some
which
people
is
on the
another
show
way.
did say that.
Hey.
This is another way that we're going to reinflate the housing bubble. The other thing is, there's a couple facts. First of all, where's the $8,000 coming from? It's coming from you and I on top of the other trillions the government has spent. And B, why are we pushing people into housing? What about the renters? Why don't they get $8,000?
Man, he is irritated.
I hate this. It's terrible.
Toby, do the Smith Brothers part company here.
Based on the Gary B. voice decibel level and highness factor, he's going to blow a gasket next time. Now, look at Gary.
I'm going to blow a gasket.
Gary, remember,
yes.
There's a couple things working here. Number one, houses are down 40 to 50% off the prices, so the purchasing is buying actually cheaper to own a home now in most of these cases than rent. Number two, when you make the loan, what created the whole bubble was the fact that you didn't have to put money down, or you could sell the loan into the aftermarket. Now, you can't sell the loan in the aftermarket, and you're talking about 20 or 25% down. So it's a completely different situation.
I don't know.
It's as little as 3% down.
Those are FHA loans, very small part.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Say, even more than that, Tobin, nobody gets a loan right now unless you have perfect credit, enough money to pay for the house, and probably 3 more like it. So this is really a no-brainer.
Oh, I don't know. Aren't you giving people, money for something they can't afford, Eric?
Look, we've already allotted the money for it. I actually like this program. Here's a situation where people who are renters who've been, feel they've missed the chance to get the American dream, you're getting $8,000 up front to use it on a deposit down payment instead of a tax credit at the end. This is a good idea. By the way, Gary, the housing bubble is liar loans on top of mortgage-backed securities, derivatives that leverage the bet. This doesn't really leverage. It's $8,000.
Isn't that what I said?
There seems to be a lot of leverage here. Pat, what do you think about this one? Weigh in here.
I mean, my worry is not so much that these loans will go bad, because credit standards have tightened tremendously, and you simply cannot sell ninja-type loans on the secondary market. That market does not exist anymore. The larger issue is simply this sort of privileging of homeowning over renting, which goes all the way back to the tax deductibility of a mortgage interest, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous, because, they should be economically equal. And I think this sort of whole idea of sort of pushing people into homeowning when it may not make sense, that's a larger issue that I think we need to wrestle with.
Well, that's Gary B's point. Toby, you go right to it.
Well, let me just say this. I bet you, now that we own GM, I would be not surprised to see in a year and a half $5,000 if you buy a GM car. We are on the slippery slope. I'm with you, all right? But my point is, of all to use Gary's word, fakakta schemes are going on here, this one at least is targeted, it's simple, and it has an end point. It's supposed to end at the end of the year.
Gary B., what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, no one's addressed the fact where this $8,000 comes from. Why is it the government has to decide?
It's you and
of course
you
it does.
Me, by the way.
Why is the government deciding, as Pat and I both point out, that home ownership is better than anything else? Why are we doing the social engineering, for crying out loud?
Because we've been doing it for 30 years.
That was a good idea.
Gary, the money's been already. Listen, your argument is sailed already. Yeah. Our argument is sailed. It's already in place. I like this a heck of a lot better than some of these quote-unquote shovel-ready projects that are
this is already a law? This has already been decided?
Sure, yeah. $75 billion
so why
for it.
That's for crying out loud.
No, all they've done, Gary, remember to take the medicine after the show. Now, what they're going to be doing.
I'm not going to make it to the end of the show. For crying out loud.
Boy, next week, Gary B. Smith, in memoriam, a hell of a panelist.
I'm telling you.
Oh, come on. I'm giving you the last word. Go ahead, Gary B.
Well, look, it's just another case of the government deciding what's good and what's bad for us. That's going to cost our children's children a heck of a lot of money, and I hate it.
It's instead of the nanny state, it's now the fanny state.
All right, don't mince your words. Steve, thank you so much for being a good sport and taking on all these guys. All right, it's back. Hurricane season officially kicks off on Monday, and we already had a tropical depression. Why, that means one stock will sail